Hi y'all, I'm Louis Sun and welcome to my channel where we talk about law of attraction, vibration, and becoming the deliberate creator of your life experience. I want to start off by promoting my book, Unconditionality, because I now have a copy and I want to show you guys. It's linked below. You can go right to my website, to the page where you can purchase the book if you're finding my content interesting, or if you want to take a nice, real big deep dive into a vibrational perspective of, well, being human. This video actually covers my first blog post on my website, which will also be linked below in the description for you to check out, and it's about reality creation time versus enjoying the creation time. And this actually dovetails pretty perfectly off of the last video about masculinity and femininity, because, well, reality creation time is where we're focusing that energy like the masculine principle of consciousness does, and enjoying the creation time is where we're allowing that energy to be directed and for us to flesh out and specify and for that reality to become. So it kind of represents the feminine aspect of consciousness, which also drives home that we need both still. But reality creation time basically is where we're directing our thought energy at our desires, which can also mean releasing resistance to those desires. So that means if we're lower on the emotional scale on certain subjects, sometimes reality creation time means shifting our thoughts about those subjects and releasing that resistance and moving up the emotional scale. But the ultimate goal of reality creation time is to be in alignment, be in that space of positive emotion, as much positive emotion as possible, as high on the emotional scale as possible, and we're directing our energy at the things that we actually do want. So reality creation time is about shifting our thoughts towards our desires and then getting to a place where we're directing our energy deliberately at those desires and beginning to flesh those ideas out, beginning to specify those ideas. Because reality creation time isn't just about the general subjects, it kind of has that sort of focus to it where it is about those big subjects and getting ourselves feeling good and getting our mental energy flowing in the direction of those big things that we want, those most important things that we want. But it's also about beginning to flesh those ideas out. Not necessarily to the point where we're taking inspired action yet, but that's how we get more energy moving, is by specifying the idea and getting that idea ready for inspired action. Now this takes us into enjoying the creation time. Enjoying the creation time doesn't just mean that we're kicking back and enjoying life and just waiting for life to happen to us, although, you know, kicking back and enjoying life is a part of it, but that's more of the tail end of it. The real reality creation time begins when those ideas have gotten so specific and we're feeling that perfect timing build up and we're feeling the idea actually flesh out into physical action. So the first part of enjoying the creation time actually is action. And this is why Abraham says that action was never really meant to be the means through which we create, but it is how we enjoy the creation of our reality. It's how we enjoy what we created through our thought. That's the true nature of action. And this can even come with the different ways that we help ourselves release resistance. Sometimes we do some chores to distract us from just weird old thoughts that aren't necessarily necessary to think about, and we're enjoying the creation of that releasing resistance or shifting energy by doing those little things, by working out or organizing our home or whatever it is we do that helps us get out of weird or low vibrations. That is also part of enjoying the creation. It's not just your deliberate creations that are, you know, your real big ideas that are manifesting. That is absolutely probably the most delicious and kind of best part of enjoying the creation, but enjoying the creation is also those things that we do to help ourselves release resistance, to, you know, distract ourselves from those low vibrations that just keep coming up, and to get our mind off of those things that either we're not quite ready for or that we need to let go of. That is also part of the action that is enjoying the creation. So then, of course, there is also, like I said, when we've flowed that energy and that idea is just popping and we're just, yes, and inspired action is the next logical step for us. That is when we really begin enjoying our deliberate creations. And then when that momentum peters out and we've done everything we can for the day, we've done everything we can to actually begin creating in a physical sense the ideas, then we get to the point where we're actually kicking back and enjoying life. And that's where we begin to start getting back into that reality creation mode. But that is this where we're kicking back is the tail end sort of our enjoying the creation time, where we're kicking back and allowing the universe to send us signs and synchronicities and send us these little things to let us know we're on the right path, and to also just kick back and enjoy the life that we've created for ourselves, because that's when we allow ourselves to rest, allow our mind to just enjoy, and then we pick back up and we start creating reality deliberately through our thoughts again. And then we enjoy the creation through action, and then we rest. See, that would be like the perfect cycle, but of course it's not always playing out perfectly in that way. But generally, if we guide our life in that general way, we're really practicing our natural inclination as a extension of consciousness that is extending itself into the creation through its own creation. So like I said, it's not always going to be that perfect cycle of releasing resistance, directing our energy, taking action, relaxing. It's not always going to be like that. Sometimes there will be, sometimes it's going to look different. It's not always going to be in that perfect cycle, yes. But if we give ourselves just that nice framework of the cycle of creation, I think we can begin to really meld our work and play. We can know when to relax and when to direct energy, and we can feel that momentum building or that momentum dying, and keep ourselves from spiraling out and creating more self-doubt than is necessary, keep ourselves from forcing action when it's not ready, keep ourselves from being stagnant or procrastinating unhealthily, because of course there is healthy procrastination. It helps us if we have this good general understanding of the cycle, then we understand how our consciousness works, and we can therefore utilize our consciousness and our life to its best abilities. One other thing I wanted to kind of drive home with this is that it is another, just like the masculine and feminine, it's another way to express a more pure duality than the good and bad, right and wrong duality, which is very, 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 very subjective and not actually like based in any type of objective reality, because the objective reality that becomes subjective is that of the becoming, the unconditional becoming of source energy, and then our resistance to that. That is where we get the false duality of good and bad. But in reality, there is just the goodness and then the resistance to that becoming. So I hope this also kind of takes the weight off of duality and gives you a better understanding of the true nature of duality, which is that ebb and that flow, and the masculine and feminine. That's a more true way of looking at duality than that of dark and light or good and bad. So I hope it kind of gives you a better understanding of duality, first of all, and then gives you that nice picture of the cycle of creation. And then third of all, really drives home that understanding that action is the way that we are meant to experience our perceptual creations, and not necessarily meant to be the means through which we create. And ultimately really drives home the fact that consciousness presides over all physical manifestation. So I hope this video did a good job of explaining all that and maybe giving you a better understanding of what you know, when we say we're creating our reality through thought, like what that really means and what enjoying the journey really means, and all of that can entail. And I hope that this little sort of cycle of creation that I explained helps you frame your experience and organize your day and live more intuitively and more naturally and with more flow and get more done, and also enjoy yourself more. So yeah. Love you. Have a good week.